I'm going to hand over our next announcement introduction to Commissioner, District 2 Commissioner and Secretary of the Board, Dennis Brown. It's a special presentation to the Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange.
Good afternoon. It's our extreme pleasure this afternoon to welcome Robbie Friedman, Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange, into the chambers. There's several GILEE graduates in here that will be accompanying Dr. Friedman, and we have a resolution to be read by our Sheriff, Ron Freeman. We also have with us tonight Scott Dutton, the Deputy Director of the GBI, sir. He's also a GILEE graduate. We have Art Krinsky, who is a retired FBI. Sir, thank you for coming. And we had expected the GBI Director, but a lot going on right now. So could we ask you to please come forward for the reading of the resolution?
Certainly a program that we support on behalf of the Sheriff's Office as well, and I appreciate the Board of Commissioners doing the same. Chief Sanford, our own Chief Deputy, is also a GILEE graduate himself, and he accompanies me here. This is rather long, so I'm going to, if I have your permission, to take some liberties to shorten this somewhat for essence of time, but I will try to do it justice. A resolution of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners in support of the Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange, GILEE, at Georgia State University's Andrew Young School of Policy Studies. Under the direction of Robert R. Friedman, Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange at the Georgia State University, the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners proclaims through this resolution the invaluable service to Forsyth County and the state of Georgia of the work of the Georgia Law Enforcement Exchange, GILEE, at Georgia State University's Andrew Young School of Policy Studies. Whereas, in 1992, the Georgia State University and Georgia law enforcement leaders came together in a joint project to establish the GILEE program. And whereas the GILEE program is directed by Dr. Robert R. Friedman, Professor Emeritus, Georgia State University, is nationally and internationally known in the field of criminal justice and counterterrorism. And whereas one of the primary objectives of the GILEE program is to enhance interagency cooperation between the state of Georgia law enforcement leaders and police agencies throughout the world, as well as providing professional education programs to senior Israeli law enforcement officials by exposing them to law enforcement practices in Georgia, and to offer a professional education program to senior Georgia law enforcement leaders by exposing them to law enforcement operations in Israel, primarily in the areas of counterterrorism. And whereas in this post 9/11 period, it's essential that government agencies and countries share their knowledge and experiences to combat the immense threat of terrorism and increase public safety throughout the world. And whereas GILEE program is an excellent example of how the exchange of information can serve to protect the citizens of Forsyth County and the state of Georgia. Since the program's inception, GILEE has hosted numerous delegations of foreign senior law enforcement officers in Georgia. Similarly, numerous executive delegations from Georgia have visited other countries. Whereas the GILEE program provided valuable assistance in the matters of enhancing anti-terrorism efforts by protecting Olympic game venues in the Atlanta Olympic Games in '96 through the Rio de Janeiro Games in 2016, as well as the G8 Conference in Sea Island, Georgia in 2004. And whereas several members of the Forsyth County law enforcement community have actively participated in or worked with GILEE through many years of productive cooperation. And whereas GILEE is an award-winning program recognized by law enforcement agencies, professional associations, and the governor of the state of Georgia, whereas it was recognized by Georgia House Resolution 617 in 2007, recognized for the valuable service and hard work of Dr. Robert Friedman on the GILEE program, which has proved to be a tremendous asset to Georgia law enforcement, and commends him for his success in bringing together Israel and the state of Georgia for the greater protection of the citizens of the state. And whereas the GILEE program continues to focus its efforts on leadership development in the area of homeland security and complex law enforcement operations. And whereas anti-police and anti-Israel groups have launched a propaganda campaign against U.S. police training in Israel under the misnomer of a deadly exchange, this campaign makes expressly false claims. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Forsyth County Commission, Forsyth County, Georgia, that GILEE has proved to be a tremendous asset to the law enforcement community in Forsyth County and the state of Georgia. And the exchange of law enforcement leaders between Israel and other countries in the state of Georgia has further connected our governments in the fight against terrorism, against those who wish to do harm to our citizens, and provide the best police practices to the communities they serve. Be it further resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners commends GILEE for its long-standing record of delivery of high professional training standards through its programs in Georgia and around the world. The innovative approaches it has introduced and the measurable value it has added to the law enforcement community in this state. Be it further resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners is proud of its association with GILEE and fully supports GILEE and the Georgia State University's Andrew Young School of Policy Studies' valuable contribution to public safety in our county, in the state, and beyond. The Commission is looking forward to continuing its productive relationship with GILEE for many years to come. And lastly, be it further resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners is authorized to direct and transmit an appropriate copy of this resolution to Dr. Robert Freeman on behalf of the Georgia State University and the GILEE program. Thank you, Commissioners, for your support for this program.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Freeman, did you have a few words for us as well?
I'll be very brief, but I want to express my sincere gratitude for the resolution that the Board of Commissioners has adopted. I'm very proud standing here with GILEE graduates from the state, and I want to say that this recognition and this resolution is very important to the law enforcement community because the officers need to know that the citizens and the government have their backs. And this is what this resolution is doing. So my sincere thanks and gratitude for this important resolution, and we'll put it on the university's website. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm so glad we were able to do that as a community. Just a couple nights ago, our own sheriff's office presented its awards, and it was a wonderful thing to see all of the heroes here in our local community being recognized.